Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer out in Chicago. And we are looking at Christmas Day NBA. It is Monday night here as we're recording for you guys. So we have some limitations, but we've got some looks for the player props, and we have a look at some game sides and totals for all of the games that we'll be having here, at least the ones that we have the odds up for, right? What do we have? 6 games on the night here for Wednesday that we're looking at? 5 of them? 5. All right, I was close. I overshot it. Only 5 this year. Feels weird. But either way, we'll be looking at all 5. So we'll be running through them for you, give you some early looks and some of the things that we think you'll be able to find some value on with these player props as well. So continue to follow along and subscribe to that page. We're just bringing you this one here for Christmas. So this will have everything you need in one episode as opposed to the player props and best bets the way we normally split it up. So definitely continue to check those out. We'll be back with a normal schedule as soon as the little holiday break is over. Quick update as well that you do want to make sure that if you don't yet have an account with BetMGM, you're taking advantage of the exclusive partnership that we have with them. That is for a limited time. If you don't yet have one, sign up and use code THELINES LYT50, and that'll get you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet fails to cash. Plus, you'll get $50 in bonus bets regardless. So, as we always say, have as many books as possible so you can shop these lines. And BetMGM is available in most states, so you should be able to get an account if you don't yet have one and use that code to get yourself some free money. Nate, let's jump into the first game here that we have for Wednesday that we're talking about and get your first looks here as well.
Yeah, bit of the old format for us, Josh. Just kind of looking at the games, bandying back and forth, seeing if we can group think some good picks here. But yeah, it opens with the Knicks at noon, hosting the Spurs. And I would be looking at Wemby props here. Don't know what they're going to be, but I mean, he's been cooking lately. I mean, he's like 17 for 36 from 3 in his last 3, also 18 blocks the last 2. That being said, I still like Cat to be able to trade buckets with him. I think you might have an SGP angle there with both of them to score. I mean, we've seen Cat get into some shootouts with bigs at some point in the season. The Knicks really struggle to guard centers at times. I know they've been better lately. How much of that is a product of the schedule, though, in terms of like, are they playing centers that can score a lot? And I'm also looking at our guy Sohan, who I mentioned going into this Philly game on Monday night. He landed on 26 PRA. I think you play anything at that number on the over. That the Knicks are not actually a great rebounding team at the power forward position. OG has been okay. Sohan is that new Rodman, right? 20% defensive rebounding rate, 11% on the offensive boards. We're talking 29 points and rebounds per 36, and now the minutes limit is off, and he's playing 36 for sure. So, what do you think about those sides against your Knicks?
Yeah. I think you're spot on. Trading buckets, or at least pulling Cat from the basket, where he's obviously more fleet of foot. And we've seen plenty of centers have success scoring again, or at least scoring as a team more so than rebounding, I would say, especially because Cat pulls you from the basket. But I would be looking more at the points with Wemby. They gave us 22.5 against Joel Embiid's hobbling butt against the 76ers. He obviously didn't even make it to the end of the half, I believe, is when he got knocked out of that game after the faux ejection for Drummond. Wild times in Philly on Monday night. But yeah, I would think that Wemby in New York, that's going to be good for him to get some points for sure. I would also throw and Sohan. Yes, the weird thing with Sohan, and I took him 7.5 rebounds here on Monday night, which hit by the skin of my teeth when he got the 8th rebound there at the end of the 4th quarter. He had 5 in the 1st quarter, but then they showed a willingness to just play Sohan on whomever they need, and that's what scares me about him with the rebounds. Is maybe he's going to guard Brunson because in this game against Philly, we saw him guarding Maxey in the second half, and he only had 3 rebounds in the second half after having 5 in the 1st quarter. So there is a weird sort of like, he's so versatile on defense that he can guard anybody. But when he was starting the game, he had 5 boards when he was looking at guarding KJ Martin, which was wonderful because KJ Martin's such a bad rebounder for a 4. But this is a situation where I don't know if he's going to be in that or not. But if he is in the 4, another great opportunity for the boards because of OG Anunoby being a bad rebounder who we've picked on before in this situation. And to close out this game, I'll just say as well that while I don't necessarily like the Knicks -9, and I do think I would be taking the Spurs to cover, similar to how it was like, well, the Spurs don't have any business being, dogs by 6 points to the Sixers as well, which we called, which was a good one on your part. In this situation, I'm going to go with the Brunson points. There's a couple of things here. It is point guards against this team. They are scoring from above the break. Chris Paul plays good defense when he chooses to. Like he had a couple of nice possessions tonight against Maxey or Paul George where he was like bringing it. But I don't know that we're going to see that. And he's not going to be guarding Brunson. But it'll probably be a lot more of either of us if he's out there to start. And then when Stefan Castle comes out there, I think you'll see him on them. But what happens is Brunson just takes these dudes and just runs one-on-one. And maybe some pick and roll as well. But the pick and roll ball handler is the person scoring against this team. They're giving up like the 9th most points to the pick and roll ball handler on that play. That's how obviously he's getting the majority of his points. And pull-up shooting. The Spurs team, they're not going to be doubling either. So you're going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities. Brunson will be sort of doing his things. Think of him against the Pacers in the playoff style. I think they will go to him to get a bunch of points where it's not that Cat can't take Wemby by any means, but he has, I think you'll see him slow down a little bit and defer to having to shoot over a 7'4" guy where Brunson will have a better matchup. So I would take him on the points in that one. But let's move to Minnesota and Dallas, if we're good with that one, and get your first look at this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is maybe both of our favorite side here of Christmas Day. It's just Dallas to roll these boys. It's -4.5 or -5 now after the Wolves officially lost to the Hawks, allowed them to hit 18 threes at a 50% clip. That does not spell well for now going up against a fully operational Dallas Mavericks squad that like has had Kyrie and Luka in and out and PJ and Najee sick, and now they have everybody and everybody's healthy, and they are going to be they're much better than they were in the playoffs last year as far as like what they can throw at these Wolves, and the Wolves are much worse. Like the Wolves are still not a team you're going to trust in any situation really. I mean, but definitely in a situation where it's like a team that absolutely wants to rub your face in the dirt and prove that they still own you. I am not trusting Minnesota. Like I think the Mavericks defense was good last year, was good enough to confuse Ant a lot and force him into some bad reads. And now with those guys, Najee and Quentin Grimes out there, right? I mean, they are way better equipped to actually just guard Ant straight up. And on the other side, Luka's basically been chilling, picking his spots. He came back tonight against Portland, got a little bit going. And we know what he did last Christmas, 50 and 15. So, I mean, he can have his way with the Wolves. Kyrie has also had – they just dominated that playoff series. A lot of unders, though, I will say. That is a lean here is 223 to consider if you're not comfortable laying the 5 with the Mavs. But, I mean, they met earlier this season, and there was just insane three-point variance to get it over this total. I don't necessarily think that's happening again. The Wolves are basically – the third worst offense and the number one defense in the last 10 games. So they have driven games under at a serious rate. So and I mean, just incredible interior defense from both these teams. So I would lean under. And at the same time, I think the Mavs have a chance to just run away with this one.
Yeah, both those things. I don't know if they'll run away as much as I think that they will sort of just control the game. And I think Luka will just kind of be playing with his food, to be honest. And then we'll be laughing at Ant and Cat and get off on all that sort of dominance that he showed in playoffs. And I think it'll be the same thing.
No more. Julie laughing at Randall, I guess.
Yeah, definitely that. And yeah, Randall is actually someone that he's toyed with as well. Yeah, I think what you're looking at here is the defense for Dallas as much as anything, and because it doesn't have to be perfect at all. They're going to have a lot of margin for error, I should say, against this Wolves offense, which is just so unimpressive. The only way that the Wolves are really even able to score is off of pressure going down low. Interestingly, their 3-point shooting has not been bad. They just don't do it enough, and it's because people aren't scared of them. So their efficiency from 3 is great. It's just their volume that sucks because no one's going to lay off of those shooters to guard. They're going to say, okay, I guess Ant can get 29 if he wants. Is anybody else going to score? Julius Randle, man, I'm just glad that like other people are able to see now, like Wolves fans and everybody who's sort of, I mean, Knicks fandom really just sort of clouds things, right? Like we prop people up. Like people probably think Jalen Brunson's better at basketball because Knicks Twitter is psychotic. And I think we did that with Randall. We covered up some of the blemishes because of how much we just want to root for our guys. But when you watch him now, man, like there's zero effort on defense. He's a complete turnstile. And as good as their defense is, there's the opportunity for second chance points, and they're still giving up tip-ins and putbacks at a ridiculous rate for a team that has Rudy Gobert, with a backup like Naz Reid and another strong big like Julius Randle, there's no way that they should be not getting the level of defensive rebounds that they are, which it's just pitiful. And then for this Mavs offense, that's where they're going to thrive. They're just going to crush you down low. They are going to be able to go in and get some offensive rebounds with Lively, especially, who I think will be playing a good amount because he is such a problem for Rudy. And that's the one prop that I would also be looking at that's sneaky good. That was a really nice find throughout the playoffs was Derek Lively assists against Rudy. He doesn't necessarily have the offensive game to go ahead and get the putback, or like once he gets the offensive rebound, I don't know that he necessarily knows what to do with it. But rebounds and assists or over 2.5 dimes in that range for Derek Lively, that's going to be what we saw all playoffs. And I think we're going to be able to use some of that data to kind of help us, make some bets in this game, especially for the props. But any thoughts on any of that before we move to game 3 here?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about the fact that Gobert, just got completely owned by Cat, and now we have Lively and Gafford going at him as a combination, and Randall not having any success against those guys on the other end as just kind of like a reason, like, how do the Wolves keep pace here? With I said the Wolves are third to worst offensive rating. The Mavs are number 1 in the last 10, and again, that's with guys in and out of the lineup. Right. So they just can't hang with these boys. But
I'll switch. Real quick, we owe Jay Kidd a little bit forever. We owe him an apology for this season anyway. Again, yeah.
I mean, he obviously knows more about basketball than we've.
He's forgotten more than we know.
Yes, that's the way to put it.
Yep.
I'll change gears here to Boston. Embiid ejected after 14 minutes, so at least he'll be rested, right? For this one, I don't know if that was like somewhat intentional. Like he continues to be like a WWE heel and just trying to get the booze at Boston, but. I would hope he plays. I mean, I would lean towards the Celtics team total over because I don't trust the 76ers in any way here, but I trust the Celtics to go out there and try to bust their ass and score about 120, which is what they've done the last 3 in the regular season. And that's only with hitting 13 threes a game against the Sixers. They've averaged 120. They've been able to get inside, kind of turnstile Embiid, right, when he's been out there. And that's what I think we'll see more of because, that's how teams approach him right now because he's just this like kind of monolith on offense who gets his buckets, and they're like, cool, that's cool, you got a 2. It's like Joe Val in the playoffs last year, right? And it's like, now you got to guard us, and like, no, we're just gonna run circles around you, absolutely exhaust you, hit a bunch of threes on your head. I mean, he wasn't even out there, and the Cavs hit 22 threes against this team. They gave up 45 attempts to the Spurs in that narrow win, again without Embiid out there. But the Celtics had, since they lost to the Bulls, because they've kind of been cold from 3 lately, and they did lose again against Orlando, which I'll say in a second, but they're going to take more of an effort to attack the paint after that, right? I mean, they were like, all right, we can't rely on the 3 too much. So I think we will see a nice mix here. We'll see Tatum coming back after resting. And after losses this season, the Celtics are 5-0 straight up, only like 2-3 against the spread. So I would not run to a -10 here. But they're averaging 121 a game. So they come right back and say, we can light you up for sure. And I mean, they hate the Sixers. They're going to want to light them up, especially on Christmas Day.
Yep. Yeah. I no arguments with any of that. I think the thing is like they would be better off without Embiid with the Sixers, especially in this matchup. Having the combination of Kelly Oubre, Paul George out there, and then obviously if you can get Caleb Martin out there, that's a really nice three wing rotation to have against the Celtics. Formidable 4, if you will. Maxi's going to be somewhat of a problem no matter what. He has been playing a little bit better on defense and at least able to rotate a little bit better as well. I mean, the Celtics are going to be looking to score. They're going to be looking to beat them down. I think overall the game total is going to be a nice over if Embiid is out. If Embiid is in there, it's kind of gross for Philly. It's kind of nasty. It's not good when you have him out there alongside, and they've been playing KJ Martin at the 4 predominantly with him out there until this game they did start to put Yabu in there a little bit more. He ended up with a bunch of points that ended up helping them a ton in that game, even though they couldn't finish it off. But yeah, the thing here for the Celtics is just going to be the revenge as much as anything. I mean, we saw what they did to the Bulls after losing to the Bulls. The Magic just came out and did magic things. Shout out Jamal Mosley again. just an unbelievable job with those dudes. No Mo Wagner. He's just playing with dudes. He's got specialists at every position now. And so he's literally just like putting dudes in by possession for what he needs them for with the lineups. He's an absolute wizard with what he's doing. It's absolutely incredible. But so shout him out for that incredible win against Boston, who, probably slept on them a little bit, but this is going to probably be a moment in time that they want to beat him down. I do think Maxey and Paul George will be good for some at least 20 points each in this game. Like, I think they're both going to be bringing it. Once again, better without Embiid. If they can have him out of the way, I still think they can do better, at least on offense, especially without question, without Joel right now. So let's get over to the Lake Show and this game out west at Golden State on Christmas. And so Nate, you're looking at Lakers +5. Talk to me about that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a half unit play for me, probably. You don't know where the Warriors, they're just like a complete roller coaster team right now. I mean, they're your team, so I'll let you speak more to it. And the Lakers, I mean, I've seen good defense lately. I think maybe looks like they're going to go over tonight against the Pistons. It's on pace for about 230 as we speak. So maybe you get this total steamed up to like 228, 230 against the Warriors, and then I think you hit the under, because I don't think these teams are like we've seen in the past, where they were running up and down, where LeBron was in his prime and Steph was raining threes with other, splash bros around him. Right now, they're defense first teams. And the Lakers coming into this Pistons matchup were number one in defense in their last 5, number one in threes allowed, and that's huge against the Dubs. They're scoring most off free throws and turnovers. So if the Dubs aren't making mistakes defensively, and they did get Draymond back in there tonight, they can be pretty solid there too. We've seen their last big game against Houston. It was 91-90. So, I mean, they will play these low scoring games right now. They got Schroeder out there too on the perimeter to add another defensive edge there. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards the under, depending where you can get it by Christmas Day. And I mean, if you like the under, you usually like the dog as well. I think maybe there's a little bit of get back here for the Lakers, but now that I'm talking through it, I think I would like the under more.
I love the under. I absolutely love the under. I also do like the Lakers, though. The only thing that I would say is working against us that is sort of incalculable would be the Dubs bringing it against the Lakers and enjoying beating them, and Buddy Hield enjoying beating them as a shooter, as the other splash bro, I suppose. It's a mess in Golden State. And for the record, they are my team because I covered them. For those who are somewhat maybe new to the show, I'm a huge Knicks fan, always have been, always will be. I covered the Dubs, and I still am able to watch them late night, unlike most people on the East Coast. So, yeah, I know a lot about them for sure. But that said, for this team, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And this was an easy +5.5 for the Pacers against them tonight, coming in after stopping the Kings. It's an hour and 10-minute drive from Sacramento to San Francisco. This was not a big sort of road trip overnight back to back, right? They didn't need to exert much effort because the Kings are they are a bigger mess than the Dubs. They're probably about as big of a mess, but the Dubs built themselves a nice cushion by winning a lot at the beginning of the season by beating up on the Pelicans, starting Brandon Boston. Remember those days for the Pellies. So that's why their record is bloated. It's inflated. They are 100% a defense first team in most part due to the fact that their offense is a mess. And so the mess stems from the locker room. It stems from Steve Kerr, who I have besmirched at times as an in-game coach and as a man capable of sort of running his locker room right now, because he's given a lot of leash to Draymond. But really the problem at this point is Jonathan Kuminga. He's been called out by Steve Kerr. You can call it indirectly, but when you say we took way too many 15-foot jump shots and Jonathan Kuminga took 4 by count that were horrible shots and Steph never touched the ball in a possession, it's bad juju. I don't know how Dennis Schroeder fits in yet. I'm not saying he can't, and I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying I don't know how. We've been waiting for it to just be okay, well, he's just going to start feeding Steph. But this isn't like Splash Bro number 1. So it's not like Steph is really going to be looking to be on ball as much. He's actually been on ball more, though, in these situations, which is weird. So I don't know how to calculate it. I would think that Schroeder would run things. Steph would be running off screens. Steph actually has more assists than Schroeder since Schroeder got to the team, including in this game tonight as we're watching them against the Pacers, who are tough to get assists against. So I think you can really take Steph away right now. And after that, I don't know what the Dubs are going to do. That's been a big reason for their downfall. It's not just the fact that their defense is bad. It's the Steph minutes off the floor. and they're still running 10-man rotations. And those Steph minutes, they're not just bad, they're bad on offense. They're like historically bad on offense with the offense that they're able to create. And that's in large part due to Brandon Pajemski, who's just playing way under expectations as well. So they don't have a backup point guard. It's bad. It's bad news out there. I think the Lakers are looking actually better than them at this point with their second-rated defense over the last 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, because the Redick has pretty much mortgaged offense for defense with these lineups with Max Christie and Gabe Vincent, right? I mean, he's just like, look, we got to fix that end of the floor. So he's playing for the under. It's like the freaking Pittsburgh Steelers just trying to hand you the under the way they play. So yeah, I think that is our preferred lean there. And the last game of the night is an immediate rematch going on right now, which is weird. But I mean, now that I think about it, like, the Nuggets were -7 on a back-to-back here on Monday after going to overtime on the road, and now they're -2. I mean, it opened -1.5 in normal rest. It's going to be at Phoenix this time, right?
Yeah.
As they flip where it's at, but I don't care. Like, I'm not. The Nuggets, first of all, are a pretty good team on short rest. They might have Jamal Murray active on Wednesday, and they sat him here on Monday. But either way, like, the Suns are not a team that you should trust. So I think you hit that minus, it's -2.5. You hit it until it's like gets up to the 5. Basically, you can hit Jokic props again because Yusuf Nurkic, whatever the Suns are throwing out there, it ain't it. So I mean, it's just like not a big enough spread for where these teams are trending. Like, the Nuggets have kind of figured some stuff out, at least on offense. They had been playing really fast until this game because they were on short rest, but they've been playing really well, and the Suns, I don't know if Booker's going to be back. I don't know if Grayson Allen's going to be back. Those guys are legit injured, and they even with Durant back had not been able to get this thing right. So I think you definitely would go with the Nuggies here.
I think so. They're handling business right now, 11 by 11 points in the third quarter. The over is alive. I will say, it's going to be a matter if the Suns can really come through in terms of keeping this total up. But I think we're in a good spot to rely on the Nuggets. The thing that the Nuggets lack right now, more than anything, and maybe it's just my humble opinion, is a point of attack defense up top against above the break stuff, the ability to limit point guards to get dimes, the ability to limit the team to get dimes because they have one guy who can stay in front of primary ball handlers. They don't really have that dude right now, right? That was KCP for them, and it's not Russ, to be totally fair to him, who had his ankles broken by Ant Simons, as we saw at the end of that Portland game, and he hit that 3 because he didn't, basically because Michael Malone didn't get Peyton Watson or somebody in the game to not be Russ guarding the point of attack, and that was a problem. And you see them in this game, they're like basically KD, do what you want, and he's doing it from the wing. Everybody else, they're just sort of taking away spot up shooters in this one against the Suns, which is how they're playing it, and they'll just go back to that because KD is going to be the only one that you're worried about breaking down a defense, and then that's what creates the assists that come against the Nuggets. Is one guy gets beat at the top of the key, and then the ball, it's now 4-on-3 or something to that effect, and everyone's having to play helter-skelter to catch up to the ball movement around the perimeter. But they don't have anybody that you're worried about breaking down the defense like that on the Suns. There is no super quick dude that's going to get around everybody and then create that imbalance for them. And I think that'll continue to be the case, because otherwise if you can break down the Nuggets with one guy, they're done. They're toast on defense. They're a complete colander that you can just get all the holes, fill all the holes against them. And that's not something that Phoenix is capable of doing right now. And that's a reason that I'd prefer to go with the 2.5 for Denver than an over as well. I don't trust them to score with this Denver team that they're not able to take advantage of their weak points.
Yeah, and it's something to bookmark, though, that like if Denver wins both these games and people are like, oh, Denver back, baby. It's like, wait till they play a team that's physical and can go to the rim, right? And attack Jokic on that side and be like, no, now is when we take them, especially when they're on the road again. But yeah, just the Suns, man, they just don't have it right now. So yeah. I think, you're getting a lot of value here given the difference in the two spreads.
Yep, and I'll just point out one last thing for player props. I took Michael Porter Jr. tonight the moment that Jamal Murray was out, because the way you beat the Suns, as much as anything, is going to be pull-up shooting. This is the team with, I believe, the second or third highest frequency of shots off the pull-up against them. Once again, they're actually not bad at sort of just staying on the shooters and not giving up the spot up or the catch and shoot. It's the pull-up that you want to beat them. Jamal Murray taking triple the amount of pull-up shots that anybody else on the team is, right? That's his game, is going to be get you in the pick and roll with Jamal Murray. And then if he gets you a big on him, now he's hopping and skipping until he gets a step back mid-range or three. And that's going to continue to be his game. And so with him out, it was Michael Porter Jr. If he's playing, I like him at like over 20, 19 and a half points, if you can get it around that number for Jamal Murray in this one. So that's all the time we have for you guys, though, in NBA best bets and player props here for Wednesday, Christmas Day games. Like we said, we're getting this to you a little bit early, but we did want to make sure we at least gave you some looks here for Christmas Day when you guys are all sitting around the TV watching some hoops. So have a great holiday to everybody. And until we see you next, happy betting.